Said rolling around, sitting on doves, can't lie, I was high on shrubs.
Cinetalk, we're back with another video. I'm Strange Wayne. He's Nate. Today we are ranking actors from a list we got from Watch Mojo, but we added one for each of us. So tell them how it works.
So basically for this video, we have 18 actors in total. So we'll give you, we'll both run through our bottom 8 pretty quickly, maybe say a couple things about them. And then once we hit the top 10, then we'll go 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, and then exchange number ones. And then after we do that, we will take a break from you for a second, combine our list together to make the show's list, and then present it.
I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. John Wayne, he only did westerns basically, so that one's pretty obvious.
That's not true.
Basically.
Educate yourself.
Well, basically. Name one well-known John Wayne movie that's not a western movie.
He played like
He played like 3 war movies. That's racist. I know what you'll say. You play like Ming the Barbarian Destroyer or whatever.
Attila the Hun.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
But it is famous for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. Charlton Heston, he basically played a lot of the same-ish roles, like playing the episode Mega Man. Clint Eastwood, Sidney Poitier, Leonardo DiCaprio, Humphrey Bogart, Cary Grant, and mine that I put on the list, Denzel Washington.
Wow. This is going to be a really interesting list.
Yeah. I mean...
So the thing is we have the exact same bottom 8 except for 2 actors, but that means that those 2 actors that we have flopped are going to be really high on the other person's list. And I don't understand how Leo is in your bottom 8 for this, but...
Because someone I really debated, it was between Jake Gyllenhaal and Denzel for me. Denzel, he has the longevity. He does everything. You know? Jake Gyllenhaal, for me, 9 times out of 10, I can get lost in his roles.
Okay.
And that's a quality Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have for me sometimes because he's too famous. Like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But that's Leo.
Dude, I literally watched it last night, and, like, I got lost in his role.
Well, films are different for different people. Your bottom 8.
All right, so we have the same bottom, which is John Wayne. Then I have Charlie Chaplin, Charlton Heston, Sidney Poitier, Clint Eastwood, Cary Grant, Humphrey Bogart, and the very top of my top 8 is Denzel.
Nice. So my bottom 5 and my 10 is going to be Daniel Day-Lewis, Charlie Chaplin, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Tom Hanks. Brad Pitt, he has a small, like, his filmography isn't as big as, like, you would think. But those roles are so different, and, like, he's probably the most underrated actor ever, I would say.
Yeah, I like, it's weird to say that because of how much of a star he is, but he's always, like, talked about because of his good looks or who he's married to or, like, things like that. But, like, his acting is very good.
Like, you look at something as recently, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I watched that the first time, I'm like, this might be better than Tyler Durden in Fight Club. And that role by itself is so iconic and not parody, but people look at that on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then you have Moneyball, which is different from both of those.
Yeah.
And you just get lost in the character because he's such a good actor. Tom Hanks, I have him at my number 6. Dude can do it all as well. You look at something like Forrest Gump, acting chops out of the wazoo, and then Castaway. He can do comedy like he did in the 80s. Bachelor Party, one of my personal favorites of his comedies. Romantic comedies. You look at something Save Private Ryan, where it involves a little bit more action.
Yeah.
Dude is super, super talented.
Yeah, he is. So my 10 through 6 are going to be Brad Pitt, Al Pacino, Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, and then Tom Hanks is also my number 6.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah, a lot of similarities, but the ones that aren't are going to throw us off. And I knew Pacino was going to be one of the more divisive ones on our list because I know how much you love him. But I mean, like, all right, Godfather Part 2, phenomenal. Like, that, I mean, he is so great in that. And I don't like Scarface just because of, like, we've talked about this all the time, because of what, like, the symbol that it's become and how people misuse it. But that being said, Pacino is phenomenal in it.
Very iconic. And it's totally different from his other gangster role.
Right, but let's look at Pacino's whole body of work. Because those are 3 movies.
Well,
and there are some just god awful performances. And I mean, like, bad. So, like, I couldn't put him higher. Because, like, this man, he agreed to do Jack and Jill. And it's not like he's just in bad movies and he's phenomenal. Like, he has some god-awful performances. But he has some phenomenal. Like, the three I mentioned, I love Heat. Heat is great. And he's great in it. And he's great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He has a very small role. But, like, he 100% deserves to be on this list. But I think I have him in the right spot. But we'll talk about that later.
We will.
And then, was Tom Cruise in your bottom 5?
Tom Cruise was.
Okay. Yeah. Tom Cruise, he's just kind of that, as weird as he is personally,
Yeah.
he's kind of like the all-American boy actor, you know? He does action movies, he does rom-coms, he does dramas, he just does it all. And he does it very well. His movies are very interesting.
And you look at something as weird as like Magnolia, Vanilla Sky,
Yeah.
non-Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise like movie.
Oh, the Kubrick film, Eyes Wide Shut.
You know,
Yeah.
like he does have these small, it's few and far in between,
Mhm.
but these little art roles that he knocks out the park. I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan. Most of his movies I don't really like too much.
Yeah.
I like everything else about him. He's just there.
Mm-hmm.
But you think of like if you had to go on the street and name like, well, 10 years ago definitely, who's the most famous actor of all time? Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is that guy.
Yeah.
But my number 5, Marlon Brando. You look at this guy's career, he gets ludicrous at the end. He's like, you can't get the guy on set for Apocalypse Now, even though that role is so iconic. You got Superman, he's on the billing for Superman, he's in it for like 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But like The Godfather, once again, you know, the 50s.
Yeah.
But his filmography is so weird because like you got these classics from like the 40s and 50s.
Right.
Well, that's probably a stretch, probably the 60s and 50s. And then like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else between is like kind of forgotten about. And like even some of the stuff in the 70s he did, like Last Tango in Paris, like who cares about that film? That film, the only like noteworthy thing about that film is like he has softcore like sex in it and it's filmed.
Right.
So you look at those movies and he's in, especially the ones in the 70s, he's not in them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spoiler alert for The Godfather, but he's like in the hospital bed for like a quarter of that movie, if not more.
Yeah.
And then number 4 for me, Al Pacino. I did take into account roles like Jack and Jill, but you do have the 1970s where he killed it with The Godfather. 1980s, the iconic role of Scarface, Tony Montana. You have Heat in the 90s. Somewhere between the 80s and 90s, you have Center of the Woman where he won an Oscar. Pretty sure he won the Oscar for Best Actor for it. And that role is totally different from anything else he did. For him to, like, be prominent in 3 decades, solid, I'm sure he's, like, okay with, like, doing bad movies for paychecks. So.
I feel you. And we can have this argument more when we make the combined list. But my thing is, all of these actors are prominent through decades.
Yeah, okay. Well, an actor that's very prominent of their decade because there was a strong black lead is like Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
He's a very strong lead. But like his career, he did so many other things besides acting to make him so great.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was director. He's done so much other stuff.
Right.
That like the roles he did for his decade, like Heat of the Night's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the climate we're in now is pretty fucking relevant. So if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. But it was just in that decade, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, he did films, like, he did one as late as the 90s. I think 99 he was in a film. But that decade is what you remember him by.
Mm-hmm.
And you see so much different Pacino in 3 decades straight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at the top 10 best movies of all time. Or not top 50 best movies of all time. You're going to see Scarface on there. It's going to be very, like, high. But you're going to see it, like, around the 80s, 90s probably.
Yeah.
The Godfather's are definitely on there. Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon. You look at something as late in the 90s, Carlito's Way. He has so many iconic movies. That's why it's so high for me. And those are movies I like. Year 5 and 4.
So my 5 is also Tom Hanks. So.
Also Tom Hanks.
Or, I'm sorry. I went with that. My 5 is also Marlon Brando. So we had those right next to each other. And then my 4 is going to be Daniel Day-Lewis. he was in your bottom 8?
He was my number 10.
Okay, you're number 10.
Like,
And
you look him up.
I struggled with him. Well, it's like he does have so like fewish movies to his name.
Like, you
but,
look
like-
up character acting.
Yeah.
Like, people on this list have done character acting, but you look at character acting,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be the face of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the dude steals every scene that he's in.
Yeah.
Every scene. Like, you could have every other person. Like, you could have all 18 of these dudes in a movie together, and like Daniel Day-Lewis's performance is probably going to be the one that sticks out the most.
But my thing is, for some of these movies, a serious role is important. But for me personally, one thing that I watch movies for is rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching Phantom Thread yearly.
Well, yeah, but that's one of his films.
Last of the Mohicans.
Like,
Most of his movies
they're
are
heavier.
rewatchable.
They're heavier.
Like, they're a phenomenal watch, like Lincoln.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
I
not-
can watch There Will Be Blood over and over again.
Like, I'm not going to watch Lincoln like I watch Pulp Fiction or Indiana Jones.
I can watch Gangs of New York over and over and over again.
But, like, those movies are few and far between for him. So his discography is very, like, fun and rewatchable and very, like, you probably only gonna watch this once in your life. So for me, rewatchability was a big part of that.
Fair enough. Which 3?
My number 3 is going to be Jack Nicholson. This was a struggle. My number 1's biased as fuck. I'll try to be non-biased throughout this list. But my number 3 and my number 2 were fighting constantly. Jack Nicholson, he's done better movies in his older age. But the movies he did while he was young, 5 Easy Pieces, very heart-wrenching film. Another heart-wrenching film, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Easy Rider. He breaks your heart in that movie too. Then you have something like The Joker. Now that I think about it, I kind of want to switch him with my number 5. I mean, my number 2. We'll say that for the
Sure.
we re-rank him. But he has so many different roles. And then you look at The Shining. He plays a straight horror villain, you know?
Yeah.
There's so much to Jack Nicholson and his roles.
A Few Good Men. Don't
Few Good
forget
Men.
that.
And then we're talking about the 70s. We talked about the 80s. We talked about the 90s. You look at the 2000s. Departed.
Yeah.
Like, the dude is so talented. He's been talented so long in his older years. Like, you look at something like Bucket List. Bucket List doesn't offend you like Jack and Jill would.
Right.
Or A Righteous Kill.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He definitely should be on number 2. But my number 2 is Robert De Niro. This is more of a personal favorite because of all the mob movies he's been in and all the different type of characters he's played in these mob movies, you know? Something like A Bronx Tale is way different from Goodfellas, and that's way different than The Godfather Part 2.
Right.
And then you look at his gangster films, which there's not a lot of them, but well, I guess you can throw Casino in there too. It's got mob elements to it. But then you look at the films like he's not a gangster in.
The Intern.
That's a very good
I
fucking
love
movie.
that movie.
That's one of the few good films of his older, but he does have some stinkers. But he's not scared
Bad
to do
Grandpa.
stuff.
Or Dirty Grandpa.
Yeah, he's not scared to do stuff that's weird. And you see that in his older age, like Machete.
Yeah.
That's a very fun movie, and he makes a great fictional president. And just like he's been relevant for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put on top of that when a movie says Robert De Niro's in it, I still want to go see it. But he's still doing serious work. Like you see Joker, that film.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what I thought about it. Killed. So him and Jack Nicholson kind of have like similar careers.
I
They've
feel
been
that.
relevant so long.
Yeah.
But now that I was thinking about it, Jack Nicholson's career has been a little bit better later. And plus in the 90s,
He's just less typecasted, I
Yeah.
feel like, than De Niro.
like De Niro, he made some bad movies. Like I'm not a fan of his Cape Fear. I'm definitely not a fan of his Frankenstein. Those are Martin Scorsese movies too, but they're kind of the same career-wise.
I mean,
One's a little tad bit better. Though.
I just can't believe you didn't mention The Irishman.
The Irishman, yeah. Him, Pacino too, you know. Like,
Yeah. Nice. All right, so my number 3 is Robert De Niro. All the things that you just said, I 100% agree with. Like, spot on. And I even love that even when he's in all these mob movies, he still finds different roles within them. So, like, Godfather Part 2, he's still a gangster, but he's playing this OG, like, Sicilian gangster. Like, you know, old Vito Corleone.
like coming up.
And then
He's hungry, so hungry in that movie.
and then obviously there's plenty of other movies where we get to see him as like the gangster, but then
Goodfellas.
A Bronx Tale, he's actually the anti-gangster.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to keep his son away from these guys. So he fits perfect. Any movie that involves like New York Italians or anything like that, he's perfect. Like even though he's the Irishman, but
Paints houses in that movie.
he does paint houses. And then my number 2 is gonna be. I really struggle with this one. I wanted to put him at number 1 because I love him so much, but just like the slight lack of versatility made me put him at 2. So my number 2 is James Stewart. It's in our combined list. He's going to end up being number 1, so it's fine.
He is my number 1.
Yeah,
And is very biased. He's my favorite actor of all time. I'm gonna disagree with you when it comes to versatility. You look at his Hitchcock films. He plays a snooty professor. He plays insecure, scared detective in Vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Rope, the first movie. Rear Window. He plays a cocky, arrogant person who's like the best at their job, who should be cocky and arrogant. But then also they're scared of commitment. So you add that into performance. And then on top of that, he's like stuck to his chair. He's going stir crazy, but is he really going stir crazy? He has that to performance. And then you watch something like Philadelphia Story, where he's like charming.
A drunk.
He's drunk, but he's charming in that movie. But then you look at something like, what's that Christmas movie that's not a Christmas movie? It's Trudy's favorite movie.
It's A Wonderful Life.
Yeah. That's Trudy's favorite movie. Shout out Trudy.
He won an Oscar for that.
Yeah, but you look at that, and there's like, he's like Tom Hanks for back then, but better, because when you see a Tom Hanks, Jimmy Stewart role, they put all emotions in their characters, you know? And does the script allow for emotions, all the emotions being their characters? If it does, you're going to get all the emotions. If it doesn't, you'll get some emotions. So I feel like he's very diverse.
So, like, I definitely think his roles are diverse. I think it's his accent. Like, he's got this weird southernish sort of, like, accent. So it's just, like, even when he's playing these different characters, he just sounds like nice James Stewart to me. And I still love it. I mean, I love everything that's, like, he's my personal favorite actor, too. And, like,
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
So good.
Another good one.
It's so good.
He's so ignorant in that movie, but it's okay. Like, he's the best.
Yeah. And then, so my number 1 is going to be really interesting because it was in your bottom. And so my number 1 is Leo. And
see, that one, like, for me, I'm going to go and explain my reasoning behind it since it's so high on your list. I don't buy into his roles. And the other people, they just have more classic movies. He plays in a lot of movies that aren't classics. Well, you got Bogart, handful of classics. Cary Grant, handful of classics. Denzel, handful of classics. And that's just like in my bottom 8 that were in front of him.
Okay, so like my thing is Titanic, The Departed.
I don't think The Departed is a classic.
But it will be. It's just too new to be. But like that is a phenomenal film. Like I understand.
Like, I understand. Like, it may become a classic later on.
I think you could easily call that a modern classic.
I'll give you that, yeah.
So, which means it's gonna be considered a classic. And like, yeah, I guess like he definitely doesn't have the length of a career as a lot of people on our list.
Yeah, but look at.
But like
another thing, look how many good.
He's really
people
not in
movie.
many bad movies. In fact, I can't think of. Well, okay, Romeo and Juliet's not that great.
The Beach.
Okay, The Beach. That's a good call.
But like you look at, he's a great actor, but his movies aren't very memorable. You look at something like What's He Good
I
for
wholeheartedly
Great.
Disagree. People talk about his films all the time.
You look at What's He Good for Great. He's not. No one's talking about that movie now.
People talk about that movie all the time. So I think the most ironic thing is that the movie that he won an Oscar for will be one of his least remembered films.
That's one of the best because
I agree because we love
cinema.
cinema. We love cinema. So we're going to appreciate the heck out of how beautiful that film is and how much emotion was conveyed with such few words. But people do not talk about The Revenant.
You look like you love Cinnamon Toast Crunch for that crust on the side of your lip.
I hear more about What's Eating Gilbert Grape than I hear about The Revenant.
Who are you talking to?
Dude, I watch so much more like YouTube film stuff than you do. In fact, you intentionally don't watch this stuff. People talk about these movies.
Yeah, because I form my own opinions.
I form my own opinions, but it doesn't mean I can't hear other people's. Dude, this guy's fun. You talk about versatility.
All right, keep
Like-
naming. You name 2 movies.
What are you talking about?
Well, you personally name 2 movies. You name.
Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
Okay. I think as time goes by,
Not a lot of people talk like. That's not.
people talk about Catch Me If You Can all the
No, they
time.
don't.
Yes, they do.
Who?
Oh my God. Yes, they do. You don't listen to anyone else. How can you
But I
possibly
have
know
for
that?
so long. I didn't stop watching videos about movies until we started making videos about movies. Like, I've been in this game a long time. Probably before you, even though you're a little bit older.
Negative. What? Okay, that's a
Negative,
whole nother
negative about
argument.
it.
But like,
I was in this shit deep, son.
right. Okay. This guy is phenomenal.
You
I
didn't
don't
love
you don't
James
know
Stewart
what you're
until
talking about.
I gave you the James Stewartness to love.
No, you didn't.
I was
That's
on James
bullshit.
Stewart before you, son.
No, you were not. That's
What?
ridiculous.
What?
That's absurd.
You're absurd. And you still got that crust on your lip. Keep talking about Leonardo DiCaprio, though.
He's phenomenal. He's incredibly versatile. The guy, he can do everything. Like, Leo in Titanic versus Leo in The Departed, that's 2 completely different people. Versus Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, versus Leo in Gangs of New York, which is a little more comparable to who he is in The Departed, which makes sense because Scorsese. But, like, dude, he's so good. You are underrating the shit out of Leo.
Ain't nobody watched The Aviator.
It won a fucking Oscar.
Nobody talks about it.
I don't.
Nobody really brings up Revolutionary Road.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't care for The Aviator that much, but people love that movie.
Yeah, those people probably don't wear face masks either. But we're gonna rank these and argue off camera for a little while, and we'll get back to you with the top 18 best actors of all time, brought to you by the Watch Mojo video we stole for the list and our opinions.
We have compiled, after much debate, our list for the show. So at number 18, we have John Wayne. Number 17, Charlton Heston. Number 16, Clint Eastwood. Number 15, Sidney Poitier. Number 14, Humphrey Bogart. 13, Cary Grant. 12, Charlie Chaplin. 11, Denzel Washington. Number 10, Brad Pitt. Number 9, Tom Cruise. Number 8, Daniel Day-Lewis. Number 7, Al Pacino. Number 6, Tom Hanks. Number 5, Jack Nicholson. Number 4, Marlon Brando. Number 3, Leonardo DiCaprio. Number 2, Robert De Niro. And number 1, James Stewart.
So if you like these rankings that we done, tell us down in the comment section. If we got something wrong, also tell us down in the comment section. We like to debate film. We'll debate with you down in the comment section below. Usually I pay people, like make them pay for that, but we like you. So leave a like on the video, comment, share, and subscribe.